He went to 2 Sweet 16s. He's one of my good friends. He was one of the groomsmen in my wedding. I was in his wedding. Unfortunately, I couldn't attend the wedding because I was overseas. But let me go ahead and get started with, please like, subscribe, tell your friends about the podcast that we're doing, and please enjoy. Holiday season may be winding down. The sports calendar is in full swing this week. From collegiate to professional sports, there's no shortage of action, and there will be no better place to get all of this action with DraftKings Sportsbook, America's top-rated sportsbook app. If you haven't tried out DraftKings Sportsbook, what are you waiting for? To celebrate this year's college football playoffs, DraftKings is giving new users the chance to bet on any semifinal team to win championship at 100-1 odds. That's right. All you have to do is bet $1 on any semifinal team to win the championship. And if your team wins, you cash $100. While we are excited for football, let's not forget 2021 basketball season just kicked off. So head to the app now to check out all of our DraftKings daily odds. DraftKings is safe, secure, and reliable, making it easy for you to deposit and withdraw your money at your convenience. Download the top-rated DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use promo code FIELD68 or FIELD68 when you sign in to get 100-1 odds on any semifinal team to win. That's code FIELD68 for new players to get a shot at 100-1 odds on a semifinal this week. For a limited time, only at DraftKings Sportsbook. Must be 21 or older, New Jersey, Indiana, or Pennsylvania only. Restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or in Indiana, 1-800-9-WITH-IT. So let's get back to the podcast. Staats Battle is my guest today, my good friend, as I mentioned. Welcome, Staats. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing well, man. Thanks for having me.
This is just like us FaceTiming each other, so it should be easy. So let's get started. What's Staats up to now? You know, what's he doing in the real world and what's going on?
Yeah. So graduated in 2015 from NC State, and then did a year in Ireland in a pretty cool program called Sport Changes Life, where I got to play basketball over there as well as coach kind of in the local community over there, and then got to do some grad school as well. And then came back to Raleigh in 2016 and have been working for the company I'm working with now called Plexus Capital. So it's a small private equity group in Raleigh, and we basically lend money and buy ownership in small private companies and help them grow. And got married in September of 2019, and we got a little girl coming on the way in March of 2021, and it's we'll have a lot more to talk about because it's one day. The due date is one day from your second. So
there you go. See, we could have done a gender reveal on our show. We literally have one day apart between our kids are supposed to be born. So Staats is gonna have him a girl. I'm gonna have me a boy. So we'll literally be calling each other. So hopefully we can time it up. I told him we needed to find a way that we end up in the same hospital so we can at least hang out during the time. But we're excited and ready for it. So this is your first. So are you ready?
I'm getting there. I'm gonna have to call you just like I would call you for basketball tips. I'm gonna have to call you on dad tips. But yeah,
okay.
we're ready. We're excited.
I don't know if I would give you very good tips. I kind of got the bad habits. The things I said I wouldn't do, I ended up doing. So, but let's go into it. So a lot of people won't know that after you finished at State, you went to Ireland and ended up playing. Talk about your experience there and you know how much fun that is. And I know even when I see you today, you still mention about how much fun you had and how much you learned there. Kind of talk about that a little bit more.
Yeah, it was unbelievable. Especially at NC State, as you know, I was like the 20-20 player. So if we were up by 20, I would get in for the last 20 seconds. And that was the only time playing time I would get. But obviously over 4 years practicing, against you guys, the scholarship guys, every single day in practice, felt like I had gotten a lot better, and wanted to kind of see if I could pursue it one more year, since I didn't really get that time on the court. Wanted, loving to compete in a game is a lot different than in practice. And a former NC State player, Brian Neiman, had done a similar program in Ireland. So I called him to kind of pick his brain on how he did it. And then a former NC State coach, Coach Pete Strickland, used to play and coach over there actually. And so called him to kind of pick his brain. And lo and behold, there's this organization called Sport Changes Life. And it's a 3-part program. And they bring over Americans to play in their professional league. And then the other part is, since they bring you over there to play, they want you to coach in the local community and run basketball camps to get kids engaged in the sport, because quote unquote sport changes life. And I truly believe that it does in a lot of different ways. And so, Americans over there with our accent is a lot different than the Irish accent. So immediately you get the attention of these kids because you're talking differently than how they're used to hearing. So getting to coach over there was an awesome experience as well. And then the third leg of the school did some postgraduate work over there at a local university. So got to play, got to coach, and got to continue studying. And yeah, the basketball is a lot different. I was the leading scorer on the team, which may surprise you, but
it don't surprise me.
Each team was allowed one American. So like when I went to go visit you in Spain, like each country over there has different rules on the amount of imports they can have on their team. So each team allowed one American. And so I was, tasked with bringing the ball up the court, shooting, posting up, doing it all, which scout team at NC State helped me get ready for. So it was a great experience.
And that was one of the fun parts. While you were over there, I was in Spain, and it wasn't, I think you ended up having a direct flight.
Cheap. Super cheap.
It was a cheap flight. He came over as 3 days, 4 days?
Yeah, got to see one of your games.
We watched it. He got to watch a game of mine, and we just pretty much played Call of Duty and hung out with my dog. It kicked it a little bit, so it was a good time. So, a lot of people don't really, look at walk-ons as a pivotal part of, the team, but they don't also see the practices and what all you guys have to do. And, especially for the players, we have the respect for you guys because, you guys do a lot of grunt work and things that are, difficult and don't necessarily get the rewards for it. Kind of talk about your experience of a walk-on and kind of even just what you did on a daily basis as a walk-on.
Yeah. Being a walk-on, it's kind of like living a double life because your friends see you on the bench during game day and they think it's unbelievable and you're a superstar. But what they don't see is in middle of June, you're waking up at 5 a.m. to do conditioning on the track and then doing 2 classes of summer school, and then you're back in the weight room. And so yeah, being a walk-on, it was awesome, especially being from Raleigh and getting to do it at NC State. Was very blessed for that situation. But it's fast paced, especially during the season, because you guys, the scholarship players, are learning the scouting report and how to guard the opposing team. And we're having to learn how to actually run the offense and having to do it full speed with you guys guarding us. A lot of different plays called. We're having to learn an opposing team's offense, over a 2-hour period, and then having to run at full speed with you guys getting all up in our grill. So it was an awesome experience, and has definitely taken things from that, incorporated into the job I'm in now.
Yeah, and I think that's part of the reason we're best friends is because we did a lot of guarding each other during the time, and Staats will admit it. They basically tell them to just lay on them on defense and basically foul as much as you can and frustrate them as much as you can. Every offensive rebound, they're going full speed. I remember one time he said if you guys didn't go for offensive rebound, you had to run on the treadmill. So it's just like, I feel like all he's doing is just beating the living crap out of me. And there are times I just want to punch him in the face. So I guess that's why we became best friends, because we just got to beat each other up in practice every day.
Right. My 2 years, my freshman, sophomore year, you were junior, senior. So I guarded you every single day for 2 years. And then my junior, senior year, I was tasked with guarding Ralston, who was the other shooter for junior and senior year. So I was stuck on the shooters and just chasing you guys around. And Coach Moxley, like, he would get in my face all the time if I didn't pull your jersey. He's like, you seen what Scott's doing in the game? You think UNC ain't gonna pull his jersey? You think Pittsburgh's not gonna pull his jersey? So that actually messed me up when I went to Ireland, because I would get in foul trouble, because for 4 years I never played with a referee. So I was used to, like, that's just how I played defense for 4 years, and then going over there, I'll get in foul trouble early. So it was funny.
I think that's partially not because of how you played it. That's partially because you're American. Hey, every American that goes overseas, they all get it. So let's kind of move on. Let's talk about who was the hardest player to guard during your time there.
I want to say everyone.
Listen, I'll even be okay if you don't say me. You'll make me feel better if you don't got to say me, so we can get somebody else. I know who my least favorite person to guard was, but it makes the same for you.
You were probably my least favorite, just you and Ralston, just because y'all were so good at reading the defense and using screens. So if I was positioned the wrong way, you absolutely took advantage of it, and you could get a shot off in 0.5 seconds. So I got exposed a lot that way. And then if I would look the other way for 1 second, y'all could read that and, get open and hit a shot. And your trigger was so quick. It was brutal. But I mean, TJ, especially his sophomore year, when he had his ACC run, and talking about the walk-on theme again, like, he scores 35 or whatever it was against UNC in that Marcus Page battle. And then we're having to guard them, and coach is yelling at us because we're not stopping them. And I'm like, UNC's top 10 team in the nation, and they couldn't stop them. Like, how am I as a walk-on going to stop them? So that was frustrating as well. But I mean, CJ Leslie, Lorenzo Brown, Richard Howell was so physical. As a walk-on, you have to guard all the positions. So, I mean, everyone was tough.
Yeah, I think the correct answer, no offense to any of my former teammates, is TJ. TJ's just, he can score in so many different ways, and he can score in flurries. So even when I had to guard him in pickup, it's just, he's a handful. So let's talk about, we won't throw too many names under the bus on this trip, but we had a fun Spain trip as a team, which teams nowadays, I think it's once every 4 years, you get to make a trip overseas to play. We played literally professionals overseas. Kind of talk about, one, how much fun we had, and two, kind of that experience.
Yeah, that was an awesome team bonding experience, if you will. We were over there for like 10 days, and we had a game every other day. We had 5 games. And it was unique because we only traveled with 8 or 9 guys. And so in the games, I actually got to play a little bit, which was fun, and get to actually play with you guys as opposed to against you guys. But yeah, the Coach Godfrey was awesome. He set up, a lot of sightseeing, and did a lot of, team dinners, hanging out of the pool. It was a good team bonding trip.
That's all you're going to touch on?
What do you want me to touch on?
Okay, so I'll touch on it a little bit. So like you said, we will play, like, it'd be one game, and then it'd kind of be like off day. And I don't even remember. I remember the first day having a practice. Mm-hmm. After that, I don't really remember having practice. I remember we'd watch maybe some film or something like that. So when we went to Gran Canaria, it's literally these little islands off Spain. It's actually probably closer to Africa, but we would go there, and there was a beautiful ocean. I mean, we had an infinity pool. I mean, it was top of the line, nice stuff. And then right next door was a casino. And all you got to be is 18 to get in the door. And all I remember is if you look to the right and the left, it would be us in that casino. And I remember one of our last days, it was Oklahoma State. Was it Oklahoma State?
That was Puerto Rico, man.
Oh, man, that might have been Puerto Rico. Okay, because I remember looking to the right and left, and all of a sudden there were other Americans there, and they were telling me that they played college there. But we had this casino in Spain, and I mean, the whole team was down there playing blackjack. And then we go to the roulette table, and it would be, what is it, Wolfpack Red and Wolfpack Black the whole night. Yeah. We would take, I mean, well, we had $3 in our pocket. We put $3 on it, and you'd think it was a $100 hand. But Wolfpack Black, everybody's jumping up and down trying to win on this dang table. It was one of the funnest things I'd ever done, because, I mean, we never experienced anything like that, because you got to be 21 in the States. Even if you've been to Vegas, you don't get to play. So we're over there acting like we're big time stuff in this casino. And I mean, all these grown people are looking at us like, these kids over here just acting a fool. So that's probably my biggest memory, is going to those casinos after games. And we would just, I mean, we'd be out there till, I mean, midnight, 1 o'clock, just playing them dang games, having fun. So
no one in the casino.
There's a sandstorm, so we ended up missing, I think, 1 or 2 games, so we'll just go to the casino. There's no games.
Yeah, the casino staff didn't speak English, so we were sitting there yelling like Wolfpack and stuff like that, and Wolfpack Red, like they had no idea what we were saying. I do remember that. That was hilarious.
Oh my gosh, but that's definitely a good memory for me. So let's move on to you in high school. You were somewhat of a stud in high school. Your senior year, you led the team in scoring and rebounding, correct?
Yes. I wasn't like a bucket getter, but yeah.
Oh, I don't know about that. I heard you could get a bucket. And what a lot of people don't know about you, you were all state in tennis.
Yeah.
Why didn't you play tennis?
So I love the team aspect of basketball more. Basketball is my first love. Tennis, I love the competition because it was really one-on-one. Like it was true competitions, you against your opponent. But in basketball, just the team aspect and the fans and the cheering. And then I liked working on my basketball game more than I liked working on my tennis game. And so in college, to make the sacrifices to play or to be a student athlete, I mean, there's a lot of sacrifices you make to make that commitment. And so I loved working on my game and watching basketball, where I didn't really love playing tennis or watching tennis.
That's understandable. I can understand that. So you being a good tennis player, you popped into my mind about, okay, you could probably beat Coach Keats and ping pong. You're the first person that came into my mind, and I messaged you saying, hey, let's bring up you in a match against Coach Keats, because I'm like, let's put him back in his place, and set him straight so he doesn't feel like he's, the king of the table. And you told me you lost to him.
Yeah, I had to put my tail between my legs on that one. Yeah, he was, so his first year, Leonard was on the team with him, and Leonard was one of my former teammates. So we had kind of an overlap there. And there's not a lot of things I'll brag about. One of them is ping pong. Like I will dust anybody in ping pong. I got caught up in the moment with Keats. Leonard had been hyping this up for about 6 months, and Keats was like, we'll settle this debate after the season. So after his first season, Leonard finally got it scheduled, and I went over to play Coach Keats in Dale. And I wasn't really sure what I was walking into. And I pull up into the back door by Dale, and Leonard and BJ are sitting there waiting. And as soon as I pull up, they open the door to Dale, and he's here. And all of a sudden 9 guys walk out. Coach Keats walks out, and I get out of my car. I'd never met Coach Keats. He had never seen me before. And I'm in my work clothes with a comb over and my shirt tucked in and a collared shirt. And he's like, oh, this guy, man, I'm going to dust him. And he was like, I bet he doesn't even have his own paddle. Like, only real players have their own paddle. And I pop the trunk to my Honda Accord and go out there and get my paddle. And all 9 guys just lost it. Like, oh, let's go. And so we get in there, and the ping pong room, it's not that big, and there's 9 of us. It looked like a scene from Rucker Park from like the 1980s. Just everyone yelling, hanging off the bleachers. But Coach Keats, as you can probably tell from his press conferences, he's very competitive. It got real serious real quick. And he was talking some trash, getting in my head. And I had Leonard and BJ as my hype guys. And then everyone else was cheering against me. And we went 2 out of 3 games, and he got me in the first one. And BJ and Leonard quickly turned, had no confidence in me, stopped cheering for me. And I got Coach Keats in the second one. And then we went to game 3, and it went probably like 29-27. We were playing at 21, win by 2, and we had to go extra innings. So I'm ready for my rematch. I've been trying to get a rematch, and he keeps saying I have to beat someone of his caliber before I can play him again. But then I'm asking who is his caliber, and he says no one. So I don't know how I can get a rematch with him, but hopefully he listens to this, and maybe we can put some public pressure on him.
There you go. So I mean, we'll find a way to tag him in this later on, and we'll let him know you're ready. You've been, I don't know which kind of workout you do for table tennis, maybe some biceps and some finger workouts, but you're ready to bring him back on. Because immediately when I talked to him on my episode, I brought up table tennis, and in the back of my mind's like, I got a guy for him. I know somebody, and to hear you say you lost, though,
get a rematch in there. Get a rematch. I won't let you down, Scott.
All right, and then I don't even want to change subject. I'm looking at your number 15 guy back there.
Mm-hmm.
Where did you get the mannequin from?
So that's a life-size mannequin of Michael Jordan that I got from my cousin when I was in like third grade.
Oh,
and
if I look close enough, it actually starts to look like him. Well, but then it looks like you got the cameras placed where your cord comes down from your fan, and it looks like he has a pacifier in his mouth.
Yeah, well, so I work with a bunch of UNC guys. We have like 30 people, and maybe 20 went to UNC. So when we beat them in basketball this year, I'm obviously working from home because of COVID. So I did a little troll and put Michael Jordan, who's a UNC grad, with the NC State jersey on the back. So I had a little troll session there.
Well, Michael Jordan looks good in NC State red. I will say that. Even that number 15. I mean, it'd be a lot different if he wore 15. Maybe I would have went to 23. I don't know if I want to share with such greatness, but he looks good in the number 15 jersey. I will say that. So one of the first times I met you, we made a bet, and I don't know if the NCAA we can get in trouble for this because we did never exchange anything. So right. I don't think technically we can get in trouble looking back on it. I mean, maybe for the actual bet we could have, but we never exchanged anything. We kind of made a bet at the Dale Center. Are you gonna ever pay me for that, or is that something?
I don't know what you're talking about. We can move on to the next segment. I don't know what the next segment is, but we can move on.
No, you gotta tell everybody. This will boost my ego a little bit because this is one of my all-time great stories that I have coming into the Dale Center, and you being on the bottom level.
I'm in Dale. It's like my first or second time, and Dale has a bleachers that or a second story like out
a crow's nest, like a little crow's nest.
Yeah, over the basket on one of the ends on the basketball goal. And I'm in there shooting around, and you're like, "Hey, throw one up here," and I throw one up to you, and you shoot it, you miss it. Hey, get the rebound. I'm a freshman walk-on. I have no idea what I'm doing. I go chase the ball, get it again for you, and you're like, miss it again. And long story short, we go like 10 times, and you're 0 for 10. And what I didn't realize is you were completely hustling me, and you were like, let's make a bet on it that I'll hit 2 out of 3. And I'm like, okay, $5. You're like, nah, that's nothing. And I'm trying to work out. I'm ready to work out. So I'm just like, okay, whatever. I bet my card because I'm just trying to get you to kind of go out of the way. so I can continue working out.
Mom's Tahoe. I'm a sucker for the Chevrolet Tahoe. So when I saw that, I knew it was you too.
So yeah, so it was my mom's Tahoe, and you said 2 out of 3, and I was like, this dude's been like 0 for 15, no chance he makes 2, and you miss the first one, and so I'm like, all right, I'm good, and then you Drano the next 2, and you come downstairs and you're running around the gym. I mean, it was brutal. I was shook. I'm
So
still shook right now. I can't believe you made 2 in a row.
just to let the NCAA know, to this day, I have not received any pink slips. So don't even try to investigate us. We're good. So let's move on. You're part of 2, not 1, but 2 Sweet 16 teams. Talk about, you had an experience with me, and then was it fall? It was
My senior year.
Senior year, you had another experience. Kind of talk about, those 2 teams and those experiences.
Yeah, that's a good question. So both of them were very different. Because one, it was my freshman year, didn't really know what to expect, but also we hadn't really been to the NCAA tournament. I think it was like the 5 previous years. And so it was one thing I learned freshman year was that the NCAA show, the selection show, is legit, like actually how we find out. Like I didn't really fully understand that the selection show is like how the teams actually find out. And so we didn't, I mean, we had a pretty good season. We fell towards the end. We lost like 4 in a row, and we had to win like our next 2. And so we won our last 2 games of the season, and then we did pretty well in the ACC tournament. We ended up losing to UNC on the Kendall Marshall asterisk charge block.
Oh, now it is. It's a charge.
Yeah. And that was our 3rd time playing them, and I felt like we were going to have them that time. So I was thinking like, we need this win to get into the NCAA tournament. And this was our 3rd time playing them. Each time we played them, we got closer and closer. The game was neck and neck, and then that charge call happened. And someone sent that last week. And if you go back and look at it, there's actually a little clip at the very end. And I'm like cussing at the ref. I didn't realize that it was that blatant on TV. But if you go and watch it, there's a zoom in of me yelling at the ref. But so long story short, the team, I wasn't really sure if we were going to get in. So being able to get in, we were the last team called, was unbelievable. And then we played San Diego State, which we weren't favored, but we won. And then we went and played Georgetown, and that was another upset. And then we played Kansas, and we were neck and neck against Kansas as well. And if we had won, we were going to play UNC. And this was when Kendall Marshall was out. So I was like, no way they beat us 4 times in a row. So I was thinking we were already going to make the Final Four because we were neck and neck against Kansas, going to beat Kansas and then go to beat UNC, and then go to the Final Four. But we ended up losing to Kansas kind of down the stretch. And then the second one was my senior year. And so this one was different because we already knew we were going to get in. It was just, where are we going to go? Mm-hmm. And we had already been to the NCAA tournament the 3 previous years. And I felt like, that sophomore year team kind of underachieved a little bit. And then my junior year, we were up in the 2nd round against St. Louis, and we were up by like 12 with 4 minutes to go. And we ended up kind of blowing that lead a little bit, and lost. So that was kind of a sour taste in my mouth as well. So senior year to go out and get to the Sweet 16 again was unbelievable. And our first game, we played LSU, and we were down with like 5 seconds left, and BJ Anya hit a hook shot to send us to the next round. So like the March Madness was extremely real. If we had missed that shot, like I wouldn't have the second Sweet 16. That would have left a sour taste in my mouth as well. And then we ended up in the Sweet 16. We played Louisville, who we had actually beaten earlier in the year. So I sound kind of negative right here, but even though they were 2 Sweet 16s, I felt like we could have actually achieved more. But they were nonetheless awesome experiences.
You sound like a typical NC State fan there. We could have more, but
I'm confident, man.
I agree. I'm right there with you, dude. Especially your first two years with me, we had some good teams that
We did.
I mean, our first one probably overachieved, but then our second one probably underachieved a little bit. But overall, it was a great experience. I remember, to add on to your first one, so we had lost to UNC. I mean, we're all mad. So we hop on. Was that in Atlanta?
Yeah.
So we hop on the flight after the game, and all of a sudden, Coach Gottfried starts walking up to me, and I'm like, he never, after a game, usually comes up to me and sits down in the seat next to me, and he's like, hey, Scott, I'm gonna come to you. I'm gonna let you and CJ decide what we're gonna do here. And CJ Williams, and he said, CBS wants to put us on national television for the selection show. And he said, and so first thought, I'm like, okay, like who cares? And then he's like, but I just want to let you know there's no guarantee we get in. And if you don't get in, they're gonna see like you after you don't get in. And so I'm like, oh man, that's a good point. But then I started thinking about it. I'm like, you know what? Let's just go for it. Like, I feel confident in our body of work. Coach was sitting there. He's like, I'm confident in our body of work. I think if I had to guess, I think we're going to get in. And I'm kind of, to this day, I'm glad we did it. Cause I mean, that night, us just sitting in that building was just like, are we going to get in? And then I could just remember the last pick, everybody's like, dude, there's no way they're going to leave us out. And it's just like, everybody jumped up like, finally. But it was definitely a scary moment, that's for sure. So
I mean, it was dramatic. Like that was the longest hour of like my entire life, we waiting to hear our name, if we were going to be called or not. We were the very last name called.
I don't even sweat, and I had to take a shower afterward. I mean, I was like, dude, like this is all I want to do is go to the tournament. I mean, that's all Coach preaches, is the greatest show on earth. I mean, that's all he talks about. So it's just like, to this moment, I was like, ooh, I'm glad we got in. So let's talk food. I'm a big food guy, and I've asked, a lot of questions. I think I asked Coach Keys, I asked Chris Corciani, I forgot to ask CJ Williams when I had him on. Your go-to on campus place to eat.
I knew you were going to ask that, and because you're leaving people out if you only pick one. I
mean, that's just how it is. I mean, trust me, everybody knows my love for Emilio's, El Cerro. Cluj just emerged into my life when Corciani got me in it, and I didn't get that experience when I was in college, and now I'm getting that full experience. So there's just a lot of places that you might forget about, but you can only pick one.
So I'm gonna take a different path. The place that got the most money from me was the Chick-fil-A in the atrium. I went there twice a day because I was in the business school and it's kind of over close to there. So I'm a cop out and say Chick-fil-A for breakfast and lunch every day.
That's reasonable. See, I didn't get my Chick-fil-A kick until after I left school. So yeah. The place that got all my money, and I don't even think it's there, was the Taco Bell on campus. I just swiped my card left and right too. That's probably my on-campus go-to. So now, when you were in school, were you a library guy, or did you do your studying in the room?
Well, my freshman year, we were study hall roommates. Mm-hmm. And so I had to spend 2 hours every night stuck in a room with you doing homework.
Great times.
And then my sophomore, junior, and senior year, I was an in the room guy. I was so tired from practice chasing you guys around. I didn't want to walk to the library or do any of that stuff. So I would just do it in my room. And
just to be clear, we actually did work in our study hall.
We did.
We actually had a tutor with us, and we were actually doing work. That does happen. So let's go.
If anyone is wondering why my next 3 years I wasn't in study hall, cough, cough, at Scott, there was a GPA requirement to get out of study hall. And I guess you didn't meet that requirement, Wood.
I did not meet that requirement, no. I did not. But I'm okay. I'm okay admitting it, because I know how they are. And even if I would have met their requirement, I guarantee they still would have made me go for an hour. So it didn't matter to me. But I appreciate you coming on. You got any other hot topics you'd like to talk about? Have you watched many of the games?
Yeah, I've watched 2 or 3 of the games. Obviously, watched the.
Let's get a quick take on what you think so far in the season, and maybe we'll take an expectation on where you expect them to finish in the ACC.
I mean, finishing the ACC definitely top half. I think we could do top 5 if everything's clicking. I mean, the guys competing. Like if the UNC game was kind of or at least from what I've seen, we got hit in the mouth a couple of times and they responded and really well and kept competing. And that's always a good sign of good leadership and good character guys on the team. So I think that can take us really far. And that's something you're going to get with Keats' teams is that they're always going to compete. So I'm gonna go top 5 in the ACC.
I like that. I thought 4 was my number. I thought they could creep up to 4. If they could get in that top 4, that'll be really, really good. So it'll be interesting to see. Hold on one second. I hear my daughter scratching at the door, so I'll show her. This is what you have to look forward to. Hey, Riley, come here. No, I'm not done. I'm just gonna put her on the screen real quick so Staats can see what he's about ready to get into. Come here, buddy.
She
Just woke up.
Yeah,
All right.
stuff on her face.
That's all right. She's got stuff on her face, but it's okay. You say hi to Staats?
What's up, girly?
Say hi. You say hi?
What's up, Raleigh?
Well, we'll go on this note. So everybody like and subscribe, and congratulations, Staats, on having a girl coming up, and we'll talk to you guys later. See ya. Go back.
Thanks for having me.